Now, if I understand right, Dr. Mack, who I mentioned earlier from Harvard, who was a professor, I believe, in psychiatry or psychotherapy, I'm not an expert on him, but he didn't believe this was just some kind of mass psychosis, right? He believed that it possibly something of some substance to him. And he was a gentleman of anybody who was a premier authority in his field to be able to determine if something, again, could be described as merely a mass psychosis.
Right.
So there's something of some more tangible nature, and I'm presuming of the data you collected, however carefully, using your experience, at least some number of the ones you've personally witnessed, you think there's more than just a fanciful imagination.
Yes, absolutely. And you can usually tell that difference once you start talking to these people. There are some people you will come across that want the attention and have fascinating stories. I've come across numbers of them in the UFO realm. What I call that is the lonely person syndrome. Mm-hmm. And you'll see that in a lot of businesses. If you're a pest control guy, you constantly visit the same people over and over, and they really don't have any bugs. If you're a cable guy, you're constantly fixing their TV, and there's nothing wrong with it. But they want a relationship. They want somebody to come and visit them, somebody to talk to. Mm-hmm. Well, there are people that get caught up in that and grab this for attention, believe it or not. And we have to kind of separate those from people that are actually having the experience and are actually traumatized by it. And it doesn't take much talking to them to realize that you have somebody that's really dealt with this experience and really wants help. I do not use hypnosis. Most of the researchers believe that hypnotic regression will take these people back and have them relive the experience. I absolutely do not use hypnosis. I never have. And I feel that there are some issues to hypnosis. There are problems of leading people when they're under hypnosis that will cause them to tell stories and fabricate stories. That can happen. And keep in mind, if you're somebody who's had an experience like this and you recognize what it is because of TV shows or whatever, you're going to search out somebody in the UFO realm to be able to share this experience with. Well, you've set it up right there by doing that, where I don't do that. I come at this from a completely different angle, and people that are willing to share their testimonies with me are ones that would not share with those people. And they know that they don't have to go through a hypnotic regression with me. I don't make them relive the experience. They already remember enough to know that they've got a problem.
Right. So that's interesting, because I would think researchers who want to make a name for themselves would find that very seductive, to use shortcuts like hypnosis to try to get more elaborate details, to actually be a little bit more sensational in their own research to make a name for themselves.
And I do believe that happens sometimes.
Okay. Well, I just found it ironic that you used an example of pest control, because that's almost really what I see what you're doing.
Spiritual pest control.
You run an extermination business, but these bugs are a lot bigger and a lot more serious. But when people have an infestation, you come to the rescue here. So what did this data lead you to as far as coming up some type of determination what was really going on? And how did you get to that point?
Well, being that I was getting testimony after testimony after testimony, once I put myself out there to listen to these people that want to share this, I was seeing the same thing over and over, that there were people coming forth that said that they had had these experiences, and they also had stopped it in the name and authority of Jesus Christ. Through prayer or through calling out, they had been able to stop that experience. And this was a database that wasn't being looked at. Actually, it was being kind of hidden.
I was going to say it's probably discarded. Yeah.
Well, discarded is a good word, because I did talk to some of these leading researchers in abductions, and they had said that they had had these cases also.
And they look at it as an outlying data point. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I asked them, if you've come across cases like this, why have you not shared this? And I usually got two answers from them, and they always ask to go off the record, which means I can tell you what they said but not who said it. Mm-hmm. But what they said was, well, we didn't know what to make of it. And I would have been fine with that, but it was the second thing they said that caught my attention. And then it was usually, from every one of them, we didn't want to go there because it would affect our credibility in the realm. They didn't want to bring religion into the UFO realm. Well, if they didn't want to go there, that means they chose not to do this.
Yeah, they're dishonest researchers then. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They were covering up.
Yeah, if you're going to operate like that, you might as well be a politician.
Exactly. Well, I told them, I said, if this database is there, if you're telling me there's more cases like this, I'm going to go find them, and I'm going to document this database that this is happening with these people, that they are able to stop this experience. And you know what they said? Please do, because we can't. And over the years, not one of those people that I talked to has ever come against my research. The ones that I didn't talk to have come against my research very avidly. And I've had to deal with that with a number of these guys. But
so are you the bad cop of the UFO field? you do the dirty work that they can't touch with a 10-foot pole because it might hit to their book sales. But you ask the questions they dare not ask.
Well, I've actually used the term in a couple of my talks that I've done in Roswell. I use the term that I'm the most hated man in ufology.
Mm-hmm. But we are in the radio field, so we understand.
You understand. But I knew that this had to be documented to get the message out, to be able to share it with people. How many cases do you need to see? You know, and over the 10 years as a Christian and actually dealing with the truth in this, I now have worked with over 350 cases personally myself. You know, and again, I say, how many testimonies does it take for you to understand that this is actually happening with these people, that they can stop this experience, and not only stop it, they can terminate it from happening in their life. And it's through the name and authority of Jesus Christ. And because of that, I had to look as a researcher what the biblical record said concerning this experience, and why did this name make it stop?
Hey, Joe, can you clarify just a little bit? What were the kind of examples of what you saw? What did people do, the context in which they brought it up, and then what happened immediately that led you to see that there was something significant there?
Well, as they were sharing the experience, I realized that these people were Christian people. And that's something that puzzled me from the beginning, because Christians believe that they're not able to be affected by this type of experience. But something that we had to look at and look at real hard were the type of Christians these people were. And what we were able to see and make a difference of is there's a difference of a walk-the-walk Christian and a talk-to-talk Christian. But that talk-to-talk Christian is still a Christian. He may not be walking the walk, but he still has that faith. He still has that belief. And when he gets in trouble, he can still call out for help and still get that same help.
So just like the prodigal son, a prodigal son is still a son, and when it's time to go back and see Dad, when he's really in trouble, Dad is there with arms open.
Absolutely. Good analogy. And what it comes down to, I've had the term thrown at me before, is, you know, there's no unbelievers in the foxhole, you know, and that's something you have to look at too. And a lot of these people we've come across have been unbelievers, but they were raised as children in the church. They knew about God and about Jesus and about Christianity, but they chose not to accept it. But at some point in their life, when an experience like this happens, guess what name comes up, you know? And guess what name worked? Well, these people's lives were changed from that point on. You know, they saw firsthand that this name and authority is real, and it's something that it can be touched and accepted, and that changes their life from there on.
Would they just immediately disappear? Would they just say, "Help me, Jesus," or something like that, and these images just totally disappeared?
Yes, and actually they would actually fade out. They would actually disappear completely. The people would wake up. A number of different ways this would happen. There are people who said that they've still been harassed by them, and that's something we had to look at also. Why did it continue when with other people it didn't continue? And that's something in our research we saw that when we take them through the steps of actually helping them be set free from this experience, we go through a process of finding open doors that they have still open, that we have to help them close. Because
now, when you say open doors, what do you could you elaborate on that just a little bit?
Sure. One thing that